That was the first track where I decided to start producing myself. At first, it was like people deciding the production and vibe that we would stand for. But when we were playing, we're like, but this is not us. We want something more.
It's a very big risk.
Right.
At the moment, it really felt like a really big risk. Like, are we doing the right thing?
Because you probably lost some gigs.
Oh, yes.
Lost some shows.
We've been sitting at home for
we went rock bottom.
a while,
Like almost losing the house, almost losing the car.
It's Powertools, and we got Shermanology in the house. How are you guys doing?
Really, really good.
It
feels good to be here. So.
Feeling good.
That's awesome. I'm super excited. I mean, I get excited for interviews, but I'm really excited over this because you guys have a dynamic that I don't think happens a lot as brothers and sisters in dance music, which I think is incredible. I mean, you guys have had some major collabs with like Fisher, Eats Everything, Will Clark. You've had releases on Catch and Release, Hot Creations, Defective, 360. You just performed at Coachella, which is a huge moment for you guys, right? And you guys have remixed like Fatboy Slim and Basement Jaxx. But let's go back to the beginning of Shermanology. And you know, I know your dad had a band. You guys started singing background vocals for your dad. And then you guys like started an R&B group. Take us back to the beginning. Talk to us about that.
The beginning?
I think we need a few hours.
Oh, yes. It's been a long but beautiful journey. I mean, I've been singing I think since I was like 13 in bands and stuff like that. And we were singing my dad's backing vocals in shows. We also did Motown shows.
I think let's start from the beginning.
Okay, go ahead.
So when we were like 12, my dad is like a famous singer in Holland and the Caribbean. So we always saw him and his brothers rehearse and making outfits for their shows. They had a group called the Sherman Brothers.
Nice.
And they did like soul and disco and stuff like that. So we already saw them always preparing, and we basically just build on the foundation that they put, like from the outfits to preparing the shows and everything. So that's what we saw when we were small. And then Dorothy started singing around when she was 12.
I mean, yeah. Before that, but before that was gigging,
Yeah, when she was 12, doing salsa bands and merengue and tribute bands on Curaçao. Mm-hmm. And then we moved to Holland. And then we split up. Dorothy did like her school, I did my school. And then I went to Spain to sing with my dad in his tribute band because I was just spending money without thinking about my study. So he told me, come and join. That's when I met the guys from Artful Dodger who used to do UK Garage with Craig David and stuff. So then I moved to the UK when I was 20 to replace Craig David. So I started doing UK Garage.
You were the voice after Craig David?
After Craig David.
Yes. I did not know that. That's crazy.
So that's when we did that. And then after doing that for 2 years, I told Dorothy, yo, what I'm seeing here with Artful Dodger, combining electronic music with soulful kind of vocals, I want to do something like that. So that's when we moved back to Holland. Dorothy was singing in Greece at the time, doing tribute shows for my dad. So we moved back to Holland, started MCing. So we were MCs first. And then we were like, you know what? I think we should do this ourselves. And we started Shermanology in 2008, starting like the live act. Mm-hmm. We got our first chance with DJ Chucky at Dirty Dutch. He was the one who put us on first.
Right.
And after that, we had the track with Fedde Legrand and Funkerman called 3 Minutes to Explain. Mm-hmm. Then we did Can't Stop Me with Afrojack. Then we did Bless with Avicii. So then,
I mean, you came in swinging. Like you just started a group. You're like,
you've had a good run.
It was a really long journey.
It was a long one. It's a long one.
That was like the first phase.
No, I mean swinging for like you came in when you came into dance music. You came in swinging.
Yeah, because we knew what we wanted to do, but then we couldn't produce because I was always depending on other artists to do the production, and we did the vocals.
Right.
But we felt like for us to really make it ours, I had to learn how to produce. We had to like really create our own sound. And that's when we went back to the drawing board, when we stopped with the EDM vibe, because it became really soulless. So we said, we have to start from scratch. So we fired all the management and booking agencies. So we started from scratch. And during the pandemic, we really found our sound. Yeah. And that's when Jamie Jones and Martinez Brothers started to pick up the tracks. And here we are, like the third round for Shermanology.
Right. So that's was that when you guys, because that was one of my questions, you guys started off more in the EDM lane, and then I think it was around 2015 you dropped Sweet Surrender. Was that
Exactly.
Right.
That was the track, and I remember going, "Whoa, what? This is not Shermanology," but
Yeah.
I was like, "This is a vibe."
That was
Actually,
our first
we would-
production.
yeah.
That was the first track where I decided to start producing myself, because that's when we felt like, okay. At first, it was like people deciding the production and vibe that we would stand for. But when we were playing, we're like, but this is not us. We want something more urban, more
Got some soul.
Yes.
closer to our roots.
Right.
Yes.
You know, so that's why the switch of sound was around that time, because I needed some period to really figure out the production skills and figure out what we would.
How did the fans take that when you guys switched? Was it like the fans like, "What are you doing? What's happening?" Like there had to be this weird transition, right?
Right. What's happening is definitely true. But I think so far everybody's been really supportive.
Right.
And as soon as they heard what we wanted to make, it only went better than it did before. So
But I also think a lot of those people's also your tastes change as things come.
Exactly.
So the people
It's true.
kind of some of your fans kind of went with you on the journey because they're into more house music now.
Yeah, and that's what we said. Like, as a person on the dance floor, your taste evolves.
Right.
So you should give artists also the chance to evolve. Because a lot of times, like, yeah, but I know you from that. It's like, yeah, we started that, but you don't listen to the same music you did 20 years ago or 10 years ago. So for us, I think we lost some fans,
of course.
but the gain was more
Right.
than the loss. So, yeah.
And it was also probably more satisfying in you know when you're doing something that you love to do is way different than doing
Yes.
something you like to do.
Yeah, because
this is really who we are. So now we can actually do everything that we like, which is everything that's in our roots.
Right.
So to see that is also accepted is a beautiful thing. So
Because at a certain point, she asked me, like, Andy, we're making this music, but if these people would not be standing in front of you, would you play these tracks? And I was like, no.
Right.
So that's when we knew, like, we have to make something
you have
that,
to pull the plug.
yeah, we have to pull the plug.
That's a hard observation to make on your career,
Yes.
right? You have to be truly honest with yourself at
Yes.
that moment and really look in the mirror and say, do I love this?
Yeah.
It's very how do you call it? It's a very big risk.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it really felt like a really
Right.
big risk. Like, are we doing the
Because
right
you probably
thing?
lost some gigs.
Oh,
probably
yes.
lost
Oh
some
yes,
shows,
we've
right?
been sitting
We
at
went-
home for
We went rock
a
bottom.
while. Yeah.
Like almost losing the house, almost losing the car, and be like, if we really believe, we just have to keep on pushing. And then, to be honest, just before we really hit rock bottom and almost lost everything, that's when we got some traction. You were like, no, let's not.
Let's continue.
Let's just keep on pushing. And then it started picking up. So it was, it was a tough decision. But
challenging, but at the end, I'm really happy that we did. I mean, now,
Right.
it was worth it.
That's really cool. What I love about you guys too is that, especially now, you're including, your Caribbean culture in your music, and I think that's what makes your sound really kind of stand out from, other artists. Talk to us about why that is important to you guys.
I think you always have to stay close and true to who you are, and it's exactly like you say. If you include everything that's a part of you, everything that's a part of your roots, you probably will develop something that is truly yours.
Right.
So,
I think also in the process, when we went back to the drawing board, we decided not to make electronic music, and we said, let's just make music that are our roots. So we started making dance hall, and we started making like real Caribbean music,
R&B,
and then
reggaeton.
afterwards, when we had the whole catalog of the songs that you guys are hearing now,
Right.
is that because we flipped it.
Right.
But our process while creating was like, let's totally go to the roots and create dancehall tracks and create stuff that maybe at that point when we were making it, we didn't know that we were able to use it now. We just said, let's just be creative and see what comes out. And now all those tracks that we made just gave us a totally new blueprint of how we approach the tracks right now. So that's...
So are you making it, is the original production like dance hall production?
A lot of
Yes.
times.
And then
A
you
lot of
flip it
times.
into kind of like remixing your own song.
Yeah, because she tells me a lot, like, if you give me a 4-to-the-floor house beat, it doesn't inspire me to write.
Right.
Yeah.
So give me something that when I press play, I feel like, yes, we're going for the Caribbean vibe. And then that's how we, not all the
Not
time,
all
but
the time.
Right,
8 out,
right.
out of 10,
Right.
we just go back to the roots.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how does the family enjoy seeing your guys' success?
Oh, the family, they're enjoying it. If they're around, they will join us to every if it's possible, they would join us to every gig. Like my dad was the life of the party last week.
Right.
So they're very supportive, and they just want to be part of the journey, which is lovely. I mean, we took a
Right.
few people over to Coachella,
Right.
few family, and it's just different and so much more beautiful when your family is around. So we enjoy it so much more as well. Like when the Coachella booking, we were standing there and performing, and you look to your left, there's family dancing, racing the Curator flag. You look to your right, there's another part. So to us, that just gives it extra. How do you call it? It makes it just so much more special.
Right. And speaking of Coachella and your guys' performance at the Yuma tent, which honestly, that's such a vibe in itself. Talk to us about reaching that point after, like you said, almost losing the house, almost, betting everything on yourselves and changing your sound, and now you're at Coachella playing house music.
It kind of feels unreal when we were standing there and we were taking pictures on the premises. We were standing there and then it looked at me and said, "We actually did it." So yes, it's.
The thing is, when you get a third chance, you're extra grateful for everything that happens.
Yes.
Like in the first phase, you're like, okay, it's cool, and at a certain point you get used to it. But at the point that you lose it,
Right.
that's when, even when you have 10 people in front of you, you will give everything to those 10 people. So your whole perspective and gratefulness changes in this phase that we're in right now, and that just makes it more beautiful, I think, for us.
Right. Now, I want to understand kind of the dynamics, and maybe I'm wrong, between you guys working together. Which I find so fascinating is, A, you can work on a track knowing you always have a dope singer next to you. You don't have to schedule the session. You don't, like, you could just send the idea. And then you could say, hey, how about doing a vibe like this I want to sing on? And you have a dope producer. So your output must be just crazy.
Yeah, like every track has a totally different approach. Sometimes she just gives me homework, like, yo, I want you to combine this hip hop vibe with house.
Right.
And then I go back and try to make something that she has in mind. Or the other way around. So every time we just...
Or you just get an acapella and see what you can do.
Yeah, she just sent me like, okay, because I haven't seen her in the studio for like 5 years. Like she goes into her own home studio, does everything herself in her own time, and I just get the project like, here you are. And then I go and do mine, and then we come together and finish the final product. So that's how.
That's crazy.
It's a good thing because he's very impatient when it comes to vocals.
Because you guys are also brother and sister, so you got to have bump heads.
But we know each other's manual. I mean, we've been best friends ever since we were like in kindergarten. We always had the same friends. We even used to, when we worked at the office and the banks, we used to sit next to each other. So we really know each other's manual. So I kind of know what he likes. He knows what I like. He also knows what not to do. So yeah, it's.
And if she gets something back that she doesn't like, she just tells me.
Yeah, I'm just really honest.
She's like, no, you have to go back.
Yeah.
And then I'm okay. I respect the opinion.
Same thing for me. When I send him something, he's like, I don't know about this one. Like, okay, we go on to the next.
That's dope. That's dope. So your single out right now, Batter with Champion. Now that song is a vibe. It's on your own label. How do you say the name of your label?
Dope.
Oh.
But we just wrote it in a really fancy kind of way.
Let's
I'm at home going, is it doo-wop?
Yeah.
Is it, maybe
it's French. It's French.
Yeah,
No,
it's
it's
dope.
French. It's dope.
That is hilarious. Talk to us about the inspiration of Batter.
The inspiration comes from my days with UK Garage with Alpha Dodger. Mm-hmm. So when I made the first setup, I was like, I want to combine that era of our life, but then make it now. So we had the setup, and then you were like, but I want to make it more I knew that the production just needed something extra.
Right.
So I sent it to Champion, and within 2 days he came back like, "Yep, I got it." So he really kept the essence of the original demo, but just did a really, really good job on the production. And when we got it back, we were like, "Yeah, we have to put this one out." So
nice. That tune is really dope. And going back to like before Artful Dodger, how did you guys get into dance music? Because you started in R&B. I mean, was there like, was there something that sparked your interest that got both of you into it?
I got into it because of Andy.
Right.
Because for me, it was just straight R&B.
Right.
But when Andy moved to the UK,
right,
he got introduced to garage, and from that point,
did you go out to a club? I mean, how did you get introduced to it?
I was doing Motown shows with my dad in Tenerife, in
Right.
Spain. And while doing the Motown show, when we were done, these guys came in our dressing room and said, "Joe, we're the managers and label from Artful Dodger. So would you mind moving with us to England?" And my dad said, "You know what? This is a chance. Just go."
Right.
And that's when I moved to England. And when we were living in Holland at that time, I was already going to house and garage parties. So I was already introduced to the sound. But
what DJs were playing back then that you were listening to?
Oh, there's this Dutch guy called Benny Rodriguez.
Okay.
And he was always combining the craziest Afro with techno. And he was blending sounds like more than 15, 20 years ago.
Joey Daniel also
Joey
was
Daniel.
a favorite.
So a lot of these Dutch guys already were mixing genres back then, even
Right.
before EDM.
Right.
So I think that era inspired me the most to do what I'm doing now. Because when I make music, I still imagine myself in a club in Rotterdam called Now and Wow, where they used to play that kind of sound.
Right.
So it's, yeah.
See, when I think of Rotterdam, I don't think of house music.
No?
I know.
What do you think of?
Boom, boom, the original like techno of the late 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
Also.
But after that
Right.
sound, there was like a really multicultural movement in Rotterdam. And that club was like so groundbreaking musically.
Right.
And it just said like a lot of the Dutch DJs that are getting bigger right now are getting their sound from that era.
For sure.
Really?
So, yeah.
Nice. And now, now that you guys are doing some amazing, house music, what are some new artists that you guys are like checking for? That you're like, oh, I really like what this person's doing, up and coming artist, or maybe not even up and coming, but just newer artist.
For me, I still tend to listen more to hip hop and R&B. So those inspire me the most right now.
Right.
I have to say, there's this girl Cyrida from the UK,
Okay.
who really inspires me when I see her play. This Dutch girl called Carista. She really inspires me. There are a guy in Holland called Razor, who also really combines his Suriname roots with house. So there are quite some people around us
Right.
who take their influences of different places than the standard house route.
Right.
And I really love those kind of artists at the moment.
That's dope. All right, so what does Shermanology have cooking for the rest of 2025? I heard through the windmills there might be a collab or might not be a collab with Green Velvet. What's in the works?
The next single we're dropping is a collab with Green Velvet.
Nice.
And we combined like a Caribbean Afro meets tech. So it's a really a blend of both worlds. And I think we're dropping that end of June. And
how did that collab happen?
Now, what had happened was we dropped a track called Hot on Rawthentic in the pandemic.
Right.
But there was no dance floor. So the track never really got heard while it was out. And Green Velvet made his own bootleg and was playing it in every set. And then at a certain point, he was like, Andy, we need to make a new version of this track together and re-release it. So we made like 3 versions. And just before we were going to release one of the versions, he was like, Andy, no, we need to change it around. So I was like, okay, let's do a third version.
Right.
And when we just got together online, we finished the production, and we were like, yeah, this is the one that we need to release this summer.
Nice.
So we like sped up the process for us to get it out.
Okay. Excited about that. Well, we appreciate having you guys on Powertools. It's really awesome to see family coming together. It's really amazing how you guys took a huge chance in changing your sound. That was really, really cool. And anytime you got singles, man, send them on over, and we'll be rinsing them.
We definitely will, and thank you so much for having us. It's very exciting for us.
Powertools.